let me open up the all hands intro and get us in the mood. Okay, that's the intro. Let's move on quickly to the main event. The main event, right, Mbak Selin? Okay. Okay, is it all clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone. We are now entering the weekly inspirational speaker part of the All Hands. Today, we are joined by Miss Sandy Diao. She is a growth executive and advisor. She has experience in many companies. Some of them you've probably heard of, such as Facebook and Pinterest. So you know she's the real deal. Now, let's get into it. Let's take a quick look at Miss Sandy Diao's inspiring journey in 2008. By the way, her journey doesn't fit in this slide. We have to take the 5 most recent ones. It's much longer than this. Otherwise, it'll take an hour. Okay, in 2018, she founded Drift International, which I think is an advisory company which advises founding teams on startups. 2022, she started becoming a member of the boards of advisors in Decode, a nonprofit. 2023, she became a lecturer at Stanford. 2024, she started to become a growth advisor in Goodwater. And in 2024 also, she is a member of faculty in University of California, Berkeley. And if you notice, she is currently doing all 5 of them simultaneously right now. If it's correct, I got it from LinkedIn. So now,
that's correct.
Oh,
Awesome.
I'll jump right into it, shall we? Okay, Miss Sandy Diao, allow me to ask you the first questions, shall we? Yeah.
Perfect.
For startups and small companies, what growth strategies from your courses and professional experience would you recommend they focus on to scale and grow effectively?
Great. This is a very, very big question. And actually, if I may react, thank you so much for having me part of this. I feel like I'm an integrated member of this team here. And actually, the intro, both the music as well as the slides, actually reminded me a lot of my early days at Pinterest. And I know we didn't quite get to cover that, nor will we have enough time to jump into that experience. But wanted to share that I actually joined Pinterest right out of school. And at the time, Pinterest was actually a really small team, about 15 people. It was a product that I came across on the internet, and it was something I had a lot of deep passion for. And one of the ways in which I actually ended up joining that team as an early member was I reached out to the founder, the CEO of the company. And on basically my Word document at the time, I just jotted down a number of suggestions I had on how that product could do a better job of helping new users understand how the product works. Because if you've come across Pinterest, I think if you see it for the very first time, it's not super obvious what you're supposed to do with it, or at least it wasn't in the beginning. And nowadays it's super obvious, save, share, discover images, etc. But you have to remember social networks were very much based around what friends were posting and not the strangers on the internet. So that was what I did. And, from there, I went to companies like Indiegogo. I joined Meta, where I worked on Facebook, Instagram growth, and a number of other companies as well. But the way that I wanted to answer this question is based on that experience I had in working at Pinterest, Descript, Indiegogo, etc., when they were really small companies, to, now in my role as an advisor to a lot of early stage teams. Probably the one takeaway and one sort of thing I would bring up in today's conversation that I think is really core to everything is thinking about retention or customer retention as probably the most important and the core of any growth strategy. And let me explain what I mean by that. So oftentimes when people look at me as a growth advisor, they think, oh, she's really focused on customer acquisition. She'll tell me how to drive traffic and acquire new customers. Yes, that's super important. But especially in the early days, one of the things that small teams haven't necessarily proven out is whether or not there's product market fit. And so if you're inherently building the wrong product for a market or a customer, the only way you'll know whether or not you're getting to product market fit is if customers are retaining over time. Right? So hypothetically, if you were to only get one customer every month for an entire year, you'd have 12 customers, or you'd expect to have 12 customers. But if you had zero retention on your customer base, by the end of that 12 months, you'd have zero customers, right? And so really the idea behind retention is how much of your customer base can you keep? But I think one of the lessons I've learned in Silicon Valley and some of these fastest growing companies, where at Pinterest in 2.5 years, we went from 20 people to 2,500 people, and also from 0 to hundreds and millions in users and revenue. My learning there is when you have retention, your business grows faster than the inputs. So instead of thinking about linear growth, as in I'm going to invest in paid ads and influencer marketing, I'm going to get 1 + 1 = 2 traffic. You're thinking about how do I retain one customer, really delight them, make them so happy with their experience that they can't help but talk to somebody else about their experience. And that's what we call the flywheel. It's this word of mouth loop where if you think about the things you love or the experiences that you've had in life, you're much more likely to tell someone else about it. And so what ends up happening there is, if we go back to the example of every month in a year, you get one customer. If even that one customer recommends 2 or 3 friends, then every month you have 3 customers. And by the end of the year, you're going to have 3 times 12. You're going to have 24 customers at the end of the year. So that's like, multiply that by 100, multiply that by 1,000 on a monthly basis. That's where you see exponential and viral growth. And so that's kind of the things that I teach in my roles as faculty at Stanford and UC Berkeley, really helping companies figure out what is your retention engine. And then after you figure out how retention is working, that's when you can start to focus on customer acquisition. So, sort of in summary here, I think the only way that you can start to even focus on or think about scaling and growing effectively is if your main retention on your product in your company is working.
I see. So customer retention is it's the most important, not only customer acquisition. Actually, it's more important than acquisition, right? Customer retention, because if you don't retain customers, then it's like wasting time. Customers are leaving, and if you don't keep it up, it'll drain you dry. So
Right.
yeah, retention and product fit. If to see if you have product fit, it means if customers are retaining over time, then it's probably a good product fit. And I also heard about flywheel, the word of mouth. It drives exponential growth, get people talking about the product, get them to tell their friends, give them an absolutely a great time with your product, and it'll help exponential growth. If retention is working, then focus on acquisition. Is my recap correct?
Yes, maybe just on the last part, if retention is working, then focus on acquisition. Right?
Oh, okay, got it.
Yes.
So let's move on to the next questions. With your experience in establishing strategic partnerships, what are some strategies that allows us to forge alliances that drive growth and differentiate ourselves from competitors?
Ooh, this is a fun question. So let me lean a little bit more into the partnership experiences I had in smaller teams. Because in bigger companies like at Facebook, partnerships was this very logistical, bureaucratic process. So less fun. But I wanted to share with you all for strategic partnerships overall or partnerships more broadly, generally speaking, the way that I've thought about, working with different companies or the word to use here, alliances, is in one of three ways. The first one is a little bit more on the lightweight side or just sort of as a pilot of things. And this is generally a little bit more along the lines of co-marketing. So, pick a brand, pick someone else in the space. Really, the idea here is you're essentially running some kind of like customer swap with each other where you're inviting your customer base, they're inviting theirs, and then you do something together. And that could be, writing a blog post together, running a webinar together. It could be running like a live event or even a happy hour. So kind of, more lightweight in the sense that you're not exchanging money or product or really integrating the brand. The second level of partnerships I've experienced with is more product integration. So you take your core product or service offering, and then you take somebody else's and you try to figure out how do they connect with each other. So as an example, on the software side of things, when I was at Descript, for instance, Descript is a video editing product. And what we would allow people to do is basically import their content in directly from a lot of the other video recording tools out there, like a Riverside or a Squadcast, and then you could just directly hit one click, import into Descript, and then the product experiences themselves would be integrated. So it's really thinking about how do the products, tie together. Oh, great, somebody knows Descript. Woohoo, love that. And then on the sort of more formalized, sort of the final level of like really deep commitment, brand integration is something I've experienced with as well. And with brand integration, it's more than just co-marketing. It's more than just product integration. It's really showing up alongside each other. And something that is an example of like a fully integrated brand integration would be something such as you host a conference together, or perhaps you even jointly develop and launch a product or service together as two different companies jointly doing one. So there's really varying levels of commitment here. And perhaps sort of my learning on this, and one of the things I'd recommend here is if you're a small team and you're trying to figure out where to start, I think one of the best things to do is just generally figure out what you can offer that's not cash. I think a lot of teams that focus on, whether it's business development or strategic partnerships, they're always thinking about what is the transactional value? Like, what do they get? What do we get? And then what is the monetary economic value? But I would say that for a lot of startups, one of the benefits of being a small team is that you're seen as being innovative and scrappy and you can do things fast. So what you're offering doesn't always have to be cash. It can be that maybe a bigger player or another company that's larger than yours is excited about the fact that you can probably get things done really fast. And so perhaps you're much more likely to help them host a live event or run something that's a little bit more experimental with the community. Or even you can do something as simple as let's cross-promote our brands to our customer bases through something as lightweight as co-marketing. Even offering someone on your team to be a guest speaker, to their teams as well, like, sort of we're doing today. This is really kind of a way to start testing what it's like to work together, and definitely something I recommend too. So kind of in summary here, when thinking about strategic partnerships, try not to really think about what is the financial value to be had here. All of that stuff will eventually come. The main goal is figure out, can you even work together? Or is there real tangible value in either the product or the brand working together? And then also there's a value in sort of that people exchange, that communication and dialogue as well.
Okay, thank you for the fairly comprehensive answer. So allow me to recap quickly for the audience. So first, there's a varying levels of commitment, right? One of them is co-marketing, such as writing a blog post together, workshop together, or thinking about product integration. How do my product with another company's product that I'm trying to work with, how do those products work together and give our customers a better time? Another level of commitment is brand integration. It's much more closer than the co-marketing one, which is showing up alongside each other, relating to each other. And it can consist of hosting a conference together or developing a product together. For small team, there's a unique advantage because small teams is innovative or scrappy. Small teams can get things done really fast because they're small and they're suitable for experimental things or tasks. So yeah, we need to think about what can we offer that's not cash if we're for small teams. The main objectives of partnerships is we need to first answer the questions of whether can you work together or what value of there in partnerships. Some one of the values is obviously people exchange, knowledge exchange, and so yeah, and connections. That's my recap.
That was perfect. I feel like I popped my transcript into Chat GPT and just I got like the
Okay.
perfect summary. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Drawing from your experience as a founder of Drift International and as an advisor of multiple companies, what are some valuable lessons in business-to-business growth and monetization that can be learned and applied at other companies?
Great question. There's actually, it feels like there's two questions in here. One is, what are the lessons in B2B growth? And then I'll tackle monetization separately. I have this insight from leading B2B growth at a number of companies and advising them now that in comparison to consumer growth, B2B growth is actually much more straightforward. And I'll describe what I mean. Not to say it's easy, but I think it's much more straightforward. And the reason it's much more straightforward is when you're thinking about growing to a business customer or selling them, the playbook is generally speaking very straightforward. Pick your ideal customer profile or your ICP, understand their pain points, identify where they live, how to find them, how to get in touch with them, build a community around that, and basically pitch them on the product. And it either works or it doesn't work. And so your iteration cycle, when you have those sales pitches, you have a much, much faster feedback loop. In comparison to if you have a massive consumer idea like a Pinterest or an Amazon, or like think about a mobile game, right? It's going to appeal to a segment of the market. They might get bored over time. You'll have no retention or fluke water retention, and you're not necessarily sure where your strongest users lie. And then over time that interest fizzles out. It's so much harder to get clear signals because you'll always have like different pockets to optimize for when you have mass consumers. And I think with B2B growth, the playbook and my learning on it is that if you follow that systematic approach of really pinpointing who you're selling to, what is the ideal customer profile in terms of what are the firmographics, how large of a company are they, how many headcount do they generally have, what are their budgets, who is the buying persona within an organization, and you can pinpoint all of this, it becomes easier to replicate. It's easier to hire. It's easier to make decisions around what to invest in from a sales and marketing perspective. But again, not to take away from the difficulty and massive challenge of building a company and delivering that at scale. But I think there's a faster feedback loop. And that's actually why B2B companies monetize so much faster than consumer companies. Actually, to give sort of my lived experience here, when I joined Pinterest, we hadn't made a single dollar. And even at the point of having 100 million active users, 100 million, we had $0 in revenue, right? So consumer companies can afford this time period and horizon to monetize. B2B companies are different. Business end users or enterprises, like their main driver of being in existence is to generate profit essentially over time. And so at least in terms of those with commercial intent. And so that playbook is something that I find to be the main path to succeeding and driving and scaling revenue for most B2B companies when you look back in time at some of the things that they invested in. Now, to briefly touch on monetization, this is a very complex topic, because monetization isn't simply how do I make money or what's the business model, because monetization is actually embedded within your products and services at all points. It's helping customers understand and realize what is their value metric, like what are they paying for. It's figuring out when does that show up in the experience itself. Do I tell them the price right away, or do I have to take some time to build that understanding so that when I hit them with the price, there's not sticker shock around what I'm actually charging them. And it's also, what are the different offerings that I have? Am I offering them a more basic product or package? Do I have a more premium tier, etc.? So monetization is actually this very cross-functional, complex, multi-part strategy that touches all of these aspects of the business. And my learning on monetization is that oftentimes companies think about it as this siloed, like, let me just stamp a pricing and plans on this part of the business. Like, I have the product that's planned separately, and then I have the business model, and then I have the go-to-market teams. And the monetization is just this like carved out job from some like pricing genius that we hired as a consultant or like a one-time thing. And the reality is it doesn't work that way. And if I dig back in time to figuring out, looking at, say, a B2B business, I think that oftentimes when you go back in time and look at what some of the biggest pain points in monetization are, it's that they didn't line up monetization with their business model and their products, right? Because especially for B2B products, and if we're talking about software, for instance, when somebody is going to that pricing page and they're seeing, what am I paying for? Am I paying for unlimited access to certain things? Am I paying for, more units, more times that I can use this? Am I paying for, a number of different things? It has a lot to do with how you're packaging the different tiers. And people also pick, do I pay the $5 a month plan? Do I pick the $10 a month plan? Do I pick the $40 a month plan? And all of that has to be figured out in the context of where do we expose users to these features within the product itself. So I think my learning on monetization is that it's highly, highly undervalued in terms of like early stage small startups. And I think that it should be at the core, within the core function of the product team itself. So, kind of going back, if I could wave a magic wand, I think one of the earliest initiatives I would have a product team look at is actually thinking a little bit more intentionally about, let's design monetization to be a core part of the product and service experience.
So I see. So allow me to recap again. So business to business growth is much more straightforward compared to the consumer growth, the playbook. In business to business growth, you usually pick an ideal customer profile, identify pain points, find out where they live, and try to sell to them. In business to business, it's a much faster feedback loop. So you get feedback faster and you get to improve the product faster. It's also much faster to monetize. And the objective is basically to generate profit. Unlike consumer growth companies, they may survive a period of time with no profit, but the objective of business to business is to generate profit. In consumer growth, meanwhile, it's harder to get clear signals because humans are complicated. And in the monetization part of the answer, monetization needs to be a core value at the product itself. It's usually undervalued at startups. Monetization is a complex, multi-part strategy. It's embedded in products and services. Like in monetization, we need to ask, what are we offering? Is it basic, premium? Do I tell the price right away so they don't get shocked at the price? So monetization is not just stamping a price. In reality, it's a much more complicated plan, and it's core at the product itself. So how is it? How was my recap, Miss?
That was a perfect summary.
Yeah. Thanks. Now, let's see the next slide. And thank you very much, Miss Sandy Diao, for coming to our All Hands. You are free to stay in and watch our All Hands, or if you have other tasks to attend to, you are free to go as well. So,
Oh, Luffy, I have a fun question
Yeah.
for Sandy. Sandy, here's a
Okay.
challenging question. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom here. This is kind of a practical question, though.
Please.
Just earlier, you said that you get the customer retention and you get that virality from having customers talk to each other, right? Do you see that happens in B2B? Do B2B sort of products transmit virally, or
Yeah.
do most business customers kind of like, this is a great thing, I'm going to keep this a secret and not tell anybody?
That's a great question. So the answer is most absolutely yes. So
Okay.
virality with B2B happens in three primary ways.
Okay.
I'll use some keywords here and kind of define them. The first one is through expansion. So that virality happens more with colleagues. Like, let's imagine that I started using ChatGPT and I'm like, this is phenomenal. I tell everyone on my team about it, right? And then I get everyone in the company basically to buy a plan. That's one type of expansion.
Okay.
The second is through what we call champions. And champions are people in an organization that are going to basically rally for the adoption of a new tool or technology, even if it's not directly within their team. So the champion is the person that like goes to the economic decision maker. Let's say it's like the head of finance or the VP of, privacy or IT, and goes, like, we have to be using this tool. It's someone who's just really, really passionate about it. And champions are the people who you want to be retained, 100% of the time, and you want to give them a lot of white glove treatment. And the last one is just generally more referrals through sometimes structured programs like affiliate programs, where you want to give them some kind of incentive, basically, for referring organization to organization.
Yes.
So that oftentimes is, by the way, less cash, because it's a little weird to give money to someone who's working in a company to refer someone else. And instead it's, I'll give you free product. Like, maybe we charge you $300 for this. Instead, we'll say, we'll give this to you for free, or we'll give you 50% off if you help refer another company to me. So in those three ways, those are the most common ways in which that virality or that word of mouth happens with B2B.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, Sandy, for that insightful answer. That was good. All right, well, let's put our hands together and thank them for coming in today. This has been absolutely incredible. There's a lot of wisdom, I think, we've gained through this. And Sandy, we're going to move on to the next section of our All Hands. You're free to join if you would like to hang out, but if you've got other things, that's okay too. We have a flexible culture here.
Awesome.
So I'll jump into my little song and dance now. So I think I heard Sandy just earlier mention that she was in Fremont. And Sandy, I actually grew up in Fremont. That was my hometown. So it's kind of famous-er now because there's a Tesla factory there. But all right, let's go ahead and talk about the vision. So today I'm gonna continue with let's see. Okay, I'll dismiss here and let's present and see where we are. Okay. All right. How's everyone doing? Good? Not good? Terrible? Yeah? Energized? Okay, more or less. Okay, good. Thank you, Luffy. You've done extraordinarily well. I was very proud to see the care and attention. And thank you to Furkan and Shaylin also for preparing Luffy for our guest speaker. Okay, let's go into this particular, which we talk about the good news and the bad news every week. So, good news. Hospitality performance is stable. So last week we were at 81.9, this week 81.8. So not quite the target we're looking for the current month, but stable. Next, new asset under management is rising. So we're gonna probably break a new record in August, past 25,000. We're only 3 weeks into August. Most likely this will go up. So this will beat the July record for new asset under management, which is good. Second part, the revenue for the current month is likely to exceed 604,000. All right, and you can see from this burn down chart that it looks positive. If all the future dates are essentially smaller stacking, then we're headed in a good direction. So those are the good news. Okay, at the last All Hands, I mentioned that the revenue goals are stalling and the hospitality was rising and the new AUM is stalling. So this week it seems like we've reversed a few of those bad things. So the monthly goals are on track. The semester goals are still slightly off track. Hospitality goals still off the target that we want to aim for, which is the higher targets now with the automation and the AI is in place. But the new AUM is rising. So a lot of the growth efforts have begun to start to pay off. And of course, we expect the latency before we started this entire program. So this is to be expected, but it's working. Okay, next, let's talk a little bit more about keeping the focus. So the focus should be on the same things. Once again, sales supervision and the queue supervision for new partnerships. Now, there is some good news recently noticed. So we are getting more than what we can actually process right now in terms of the people who are coming in to seek our services ever since we offered the money back guarantee and the highest return on investment. So we're getting more people than we can handle. So this queue supervision is becoming more important so that we prioritize the correct partners. Decisive and empathetic hospitality policies, as once again, transferred by our artificial intelligence agents. And of course, as always, exploratory data analysis. This is also one of the key highlights. For this particular week, last week, I think a few of you went out to do the canvassing and explored the different areas of Bali to look for new properties, and that's effective. So we want to boost field marketing, which is an integrated idea of how do we take canvassing, the events, public relations, and put it back into marketing again, so that drives a self-sustaining culture of growth. This is a discussion topic that is very, very interesting to some of the senior leadership here, and we want to activate this growth cycle. Once again, for community management, which is part, I guess, of our customer retention policy, we need to actually value how this AI is speaking so that it's more likable. That is the most critical part of the relationship, and understanding how to maintain that as we transition into a more AI approach is critical. And of course, the continuing with EDA. Now, we talked about this good news last week, and still the same good news. So we are seeing the return of all the revenue management and marketing team. So we should be at full strength now towards the third week of August. Also, the internship 7 interns can probably help with semester goals. All right, next. I just want to remind everybody of this bounty, this beautiful bounty that Gani put together. So I believe the bounty has risen again because we do need to try to fill a release target, a release train with a package of new properties that we are putting on board. So hopefully this will encourage everybody to go out and get those leads. So in addition to the per lead payment that we're offering at this point, we're also paying up to 35% of the first 3 months sales on any property that we get above $5,000. Okay, so you can do the math there. It translates into close to $750 to more than $800. Okay, so the larger the property you bring in, the more you get paid. And if you find a few of these every month, then this could be a substantial primary career path for some of you guys out there. Okay, so bounty is offered, and bounty will be paid for properties that are close to completion and ready to add significant asset under management to our portfolio. Okay, next. So once again, the mission of the company is to inspire delight through hospitality innovations that positively transform our guests, partners, and of course our employees. We hope that this bounty can be one of those innovations that actually does positively transform everybody who wants to participate in it. Okay, once again, not everybody is suitable to do field marketing, but those of you who have a taste for adventure, want to be outside of the office a little bit more, outside the home, then this could be a fun thing to do. All right, next, let's talk about Aman again. Last week, I talked a little bit more about the Aman story. I'll continue talking about Aman because I think this is a deep, deep reservoir of incredible hospitality stories. And the fun story I'd like to share with you guys is a story of a cookie. What's this cookie about? Okay, yeah. Okay, Shaylin remembers the cookie story. All right, so let me tell you guys a story that really particularly spoke to me, to my heart, about what hospitality means. So this was when Eka, my oldest daughter, was about 2. So that must have been 14 years ago now. So my wife and I had heard about Aman as a brand, and we all knew that this was a very, very exclusive, very super luxurious brand. So out of curiosity, we drove up to the Aman in Ubud, Amandari, on a crappy little motorbike. It was like a Yamaha motorbike that's, you know, falling apart these days, right? Not the NMAX. There wasn't any NMAXs back then, but it was just this really old motorbike. Surprisingly, the security let us go in. We thought they would stop us right there and tell us to leave, but no, they allowed us to come in. And then we went to the lobby, and Alman doesn't really have a reception. They just have a lady sitting there waiting for you. Like that's all she does. She just sits there and waits for you to arrive. And she comes to us and asks, how may she assist? And we said, we'd like to go and have a cup of coffee at your cafe. And they said, certainly. And they brought us to the cafe, sat us down. And I'm with a 2-year-old there. And she starts fidgeting, Eka, and starts crying and crying and crying. And it's embarrassing because you can imagine being in this really expensive, luxurious hotel, and you see these ladies, they have these gigantic sun hats, and they look very European, and they look very rich, and they're in their sunbathers, and they just give this annoyed, disgusted look, right? Like, oh God, why don't you guys find the place where you belong? So my wife and I were feeling super embarrassed, and then the crying didn't stop, okay? The bartender comes from around the bar, and we go, what? This is where they ask us to leave the hotel, right? This is where they say, get out of here. And it didn't happen. What actually happened instead was they brought Eka a plate of cookies. Right? So Eka, being 2 years old, thought with her stomach. And so she was like, oh, cookie. Right. So she eats the cookie and she's quiet after that. Right? But that taught me something. That taught me something about what real hospitality is. Real hospitality is solving problems that happen to people in a very gracious way. Real hospitality is not thinking about, oh, what's the SOP, what's the standard whatever, what's the mechanical way of doing this. Real hospitality comes from, I guess, caring about your guests, right? No matter who they are, and showing them essentially an act of love. So I thought the cookies were actually unforgettable. And I keep on talking this story because I think a lot of people, when they think about the Alman brand, they think about like the jet set wealthy crowd. But I think Alman has a very, very deep understanding about what activates people. Now, here's the incredible thing. That was the bartender, which is kind of like the frontline employee, right? Which is somebody that is just doing it because, I don't know. Did they have a chat GPT telling them what to do? Did they have, whatever? I don't think they did, right? I think they just knew that that was the right thing to do. And they were inspired to act upon that intuition, okay? Now, I tell this story because I hope that we do remember, even with all the technology and all the advancements and all the things that we're doing, which is really, really amazing, by the way, that we don't lose sight of what makes us likable, what makes us passionate, what makes people really want to be with Bukit Vista is that kind of opportunity to delight, as Sandy just said. Yeah. Okay. All right. Hopefully that story will stick. Yeah. Are we strategically correct? I think so. I mean, right now I see that we are much faster at adapting to new situations. We're much faster at adjusting our trajectory based on opportunities and threats in the marketplace. And we're not perfect yet. We sometimes do get strategic drifts. Sometimes we don't supervise our work. Sometimes we forget to follow up. But overall, as a company, I think that when you see the growth, when you see, let's say, the expansion and new properties are coming in, when you have to feel a little bit of dread to do property testing because you've already done it 3 times this week, right? There's a 3rd villa I have to stay in this week, right? Erica's smiling because Erica doesn't even want to stay in a villa anymore, right, Erica? Erica will need to stay in a palace for this to be worthwhile. Tendy, I can't even get Tendy to come out, right? He's seen so many properties, he's probably thinking that this is like boring now. Just give me something besides the villa. And Marcel and Bella got so bored of property testing, they went back home to Bandung and chose to live in their homes rather than actually in these new properties. So Anyway, yes, I think all the new properties, all the new partnerships, the better sense of customer retention is a good thing, okay? And I think we're finally beginning to get it. Those of you who have been with us for the past few months, it has been very difficult. Been a lot of suffering, been a lot of difficult times and mental turmoil, like, oh, why don't I get it? Why am I working so hard and nothing's showing? But I hope this process over the past month, and it's only been about 1 month, okay, has elevated your understanding of what strategy means and also elevated your understanding that not all work should be equally prioritized, right? There are some things you can do that add lift, and there are some things you do that do not add any lift at all. And so avoid the things that don't work and do more of what actually does work, okay? All right. Which brings us to what we need to do. So, of course, senior leaders still need to supervise well, because if they don't supervise well, then, they're not really working on strategy anymore. But they also need to depend upon the newly promoted managers to help with the supervision as well, okay? As you can see, there's more heads in this room than before, and more heads means more energy into supervising people, okay, until the new people who are joining our company are capable of self-supervision. So until that time, this becomes fairly important in order to not lose the opportunities that we have with increased headcount. But we also need to create those expectations that people who are newly promoted have responsibilities in being responsible for other people's work. And that's what supervision is. We also need to, of course, look at the AI that we're doing and really ask ourselves the aesthetic taste questions. Is this actually likable? Does this become like something I want to talk to? Or is it tone deaf, which is the opposite of likable? Okay. So important questions to think about if we want to get the strategy right. My commitment is the company depends on everyone to do their job. I expect everyone to do what they can do to advance us towards our goals. So growth, inspiration, inspiring delight everywhere, every time, everyone. I will train and develop better strategies and teach those strategies to our upper managers, and they hopefully will carry on and teach everybody else those strategies, and also expect everyone else to carry forward with those ideas. And I'll talk to you guys at the all hands so that everyone can hear my voice too. But we do want to do this so that we've been working for 5 months. We're almost close to the end, and we want to get everyone that opportunity to earn the bonus that I think everyone deserves. Okay. All right. That being said, the strategic core value for August, I would say, is just step on toes. All right. There's going to be a lot of new things that we're going to come across. There's going to be some good ideas, bad ideas, but if you step on toes, we can probably get through the bad ideas quickly and work on the good ideas faster. All right. All right. Anyways, my standard 2 bills. Okay. 3 million revenue, overall rating 4.8, 5-star percentage of 80%, 5x individual bonuses when the company reaches the sales target. It's measured from April 1st up to September 30th. It will be counted on the October 5th payout. And if we reach 1 goal of revenue and 2 hospitality goals, we'll pay 5x individual bonuses. If we reach the revenue goal and 1 hospitality goal, we'll pay 3x bonuses. And if no revenue goal is reached, there is no bonus. And therefore, bonuses will be calculated on the weighted average of your monthly bonuses. Okay, and caps and boosts apply. Okay. All right, interns. Interns who are coming in when they begin, I don't know. Maybe the interns won't be here in time. If we can get here in time, right, then they are entitled to some of these bonuses pro rata based on how much time they've served as well. Okay, that's it. One last thing I just want to remind, go for the bounty, right? The bounty is out there for a reason, so don't be shy. Don't give the bounty to somebody else. Go and be selfish. Take it for yourself, right? It belongs to you. All right. Anyways, let me hand it back over to, I think it was Lutfi, but it's probably somebody else now, right? All right. Yes, Marco, all over the world.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chick, for the vision and mission statement. So let's please help to share the screen. Okay, we'll proceed to the next section, which is the hospitality score and revenue target. Will be presented by Furqan. Floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Mas Hafiz. Before proceeding forward, I would like to congratulate for all the team involved that Social Bingin has just launched yesterday, and this is some of the beautiful portraits and also pictures from the property. And let's move forward. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is pretty much been informed that we have this revenue target and this hospitality target. So let's directly dive into the hospitality target achievements. Next slide, please. Okay, so please, I believe Mr. Jing on his session earlier mentioned that hospitality rating is the same from last week. But I figured that it's actually increasing. So please let me know if I got mistaken in inputting this data. So, but I would like to proceed it forward. So now from the accuracy part, so we have an increase by 1.1%, amazing increase. Congrats to the all content team and also our journalism operations team involved from the GS and GM. And there is no claps or anything. Oh my God. Okay, this is an increase, guys. We need to celebrate, and overall we actually have an increase in every metrics that we are working on. So yeah. Okay. Next slide, please. on the check-in side, we got an increase by 0.6%. So this is a very good increase. Thank you very much for all the property managers and also the operations team and also the content team that creates the right content and also information so guests can perform self check-in. Okay, next slide, please. Cleanliness, major increase by 1.1%. Kudos to the our housekeeper and also all the property managers that are handling it. That we got great increase in the cleanliness as well. Okay. Next, on the communication side, wow, we got back on track on the 85.5% increase by 1.2%. Amazing work by the exceptional handlers and also the Gaia team. Kudos to all of you. Okay, so next we have location metrics got an increase by 0.8%. Uh, Amazing increase. Thank you very much for the all teams involved from the content team and also yeah, the content team that updated the content over time. And last, next metric is value. Next slide, please. Now we got value increased by 0.9%. Wow, this is very amazing. Thank you very much for all the team involved, and of course, this is not only one work team, but also a collective team. But I believe Sarah has been implemented the 3S amazingly as well. So yeah, kudos to all the team involved.
Amazing. Very good.
So next slide, please, for the overall conclusion. We
Oh, nice.
yeah, we are hitting at the 82.6% on the 5-star ratings and also 4.75 on the overall rating. So we already surpassed one, but need to catch up in the overall rating side. Okay, next move on into the revenue target achievements. Okay, next slide, please. We are now hitting at the new milestones, 2.5 million USD already. So it means that we only have 500,000 USD to catch up until the end of September, and we have 40 days to catch them up. So let's move forward, guys, and that's the report that I would like to deliver. Thank you. Back to Mas Hafiz.
Okay, thank you for delivering the hospitality score and revenue target. So we'll proceed to the next session, weekly vision inspiration. So Lutfi, please share the screen. Okay, for the weekly mission inspiration, please scroll up first, Lutfi. We'll see from the top. Okay, there is no mission inspiration. Okay, so Bukit Vista mission to inspire delight through hospitality innovation that positively transfer all partner. So floor to Kani.
Okay, thank you, Hafiz, and good morning, everyone. So, as mentioned previously by Mr. Zing, the bounty program. So, I think we are in the growth period when everything seems great and we don't know when it is correct or wrong. But we need to keep moving forward in order to catch the release train. I think the bounty program is the example. There are some doubt and uncertainty in the beginning, but after we started, it is resulting. Even though it is not perfect yet, at least we learn how to arrange it. So that's from my side. Back to you, Hafiz.
Okay, thank you, Kani, for the weekly mission inspiration for partner set. So we can proceed.
Oh, Hafiz, show everybody who collected the bounty. Let's show some of the bounty collectors. We got
Okay.
on the second slide. Yep.
So please go up again and open the attachment. Lutfi.
The second one. Yeah, there we go.
It's a blur in my side.
There we go.
So okay, so we'd like to acknowledge the effort from our team member who have achieved the bounty. The first is Vayana, earned 3 times 250K, and Marcel has earned 2 times 250K, and Shelen 3 times 250K, and Ligatut in 1 and at times 250K. Congratulations for you guys, and thank you for your hard work on the bounty hunter for the open canvas. Okay, let's go to the inspiring hospitality through technological innovation. The first for Apam. Floor is yours, Apam.
Okay, thank you, Mas Hafiz. Good morning, everyone. This is the evaluation for user experience in Tinker improvement. So Tinker, for the first is Pratify object message, improve the formatting and readability of tool description to enhance clarity and user comprehension. Second one is allow editing of tool description and parameter description in Tinker. Enable dynamic updates and refinement to tool description and their parameters, ensuring they are accurate and aligned with user needs. The third one is the implementation of the logo to Tinker webpage, enhance the Tinker interface branding and user experience, enforcing the credibility and identity of the tool. You can see the attachment that and this is the tool. The next one is also the tool details. Yeah, and then I give you a sneak peek for the next iteration is category list and user profile message will also get predefined. You can see the attachment there. Yeah, that's it from me.
Okay,
Thank you.
Apam. So please go back and we proceed to the next hospitality innovation from Titan. So floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mas Hafiz. Good morning, everyone. There are two announcements from me. The first is about evaluation for auto room assignment to reduce false overbooking notification. We have reviewed 30 samples during the evaluation period, and the algorithm successfully reassigned 27 cases, leaving only 3 as unresolved false overbookings. This shows that we have achieved the SLA with 90 reduction in false overbooking notification. We can see at the attachment. This is the example for the reassignment in slide display. So we can next to the second. That is about evaluation for data integrity in cancellation to reduce manual verification by exception handler. Previously, to validate test cancellation and alteration data, we had to run two separate Google Colab file for batch 24 to bigger and bigger to Airbnb. Now we have successfully combined both files and their function into a single file. This file output a list of cancellation and alteration data caused by data discrepancies. And to accelerate data processing, we have implement cache file, reducing the processing time from approximately 50.29 seconds to just 3.4 seconds. With this result, we have met our SLA of providing a list of booking cancellation and alteration caused by data discrepancy while significantly reducing processing time. Then we can take a look to the attachment. This is for the output of the data, the data list for bigger to batch 24 to bigger and bigger to Airbnb. That's all from me. Thank you. Back to Mas Hafiz.
Okay, thank you, Titan. So before we proceed to the next section, I would like to give announcement first. So we would like to extend the all hands for 15 minutes, so please stay tuned for the all hands until the next 15 minutes, ya guys. Okay, we will proceed to company team target and revenue. Though I'll pass it to Furkon.
Okay, thank you very much, Mas Hafiz. Let's directly proceed into the August target, because I believe the money team is pretty much the same as the previous month. So let's directly scroll down into the August target, Lutfi. Okay, thank you, Lutfi. So on the revenue target, we are actually now achieving 93.1% of the revenue target. The OK target is 572,000 USD, and now we are on 532,608 98,000 US dollar. And on the 5-star percentage, we are now on the 98.9%. The OK target is 84%, and we are now at 83.1%. There is a 3.5 increase from last week due to the 3S implementation by the GM. Okay, and next on the overall rating, we are about to achieve the OK target at 99.5%. The OK target is 4.78, and we are at 4.76. So what are our opportunities for August? In August, we managed to have 62% of occupancy, 10% increase, 9% expired dates, 2% maintenance, and 4% owner usage so far. We have 23 nights available to sell to achieve the OK target. So if you would like to see the details, you may directly click on the pictures that have been presented by Kayla. Thank you, Kayla, for creating this report, and then back to you, Mas Hafiz.
Okay, thank you, Furkon. So we'll next to the next session, which is the core value recognition. So we'll start it from the bottom right, from Krishna. What is yours?
Okay, thank you, Mas Hafid. So I want to give cordial recognition to Kaabam. So basically, this is the farewell day for Kaabam. But this is what I amazed from him, that usually when it's the last day of the people, the person won't be giving it all. But Abam is different. He even become one of the most productive on the engineer side and contribute a lot in the last month of his work. He hit his milestone on Tinker right on time with a solid result. Seriously impressive. So yeah, well done and best of luck for Kaabam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Krishna. So we'll go to Mr. Jing.
Okay, so I generally don't give core value recognition to family because it's a little bit nepotism, but I think we all saw this work out pretty well yesterday. So I made a mistake canceling our open house yesterday because I didn't expect that the partner had already arranged their own guests. So we only had a very short guest list, but the partner for their molestas ceremony had arranged hundreds of guests. So it was very embarrassing, but at least somebody from Bukit Vista showed up, and that was Wayan. So she showed up and she represented the company, because otherwise it would have been really embarrassing. Okay. So thank you, Zach, for showing up where you're needed, and that is being the hero.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Singh, and thank you for Wayan for attending the Melasmas ceremony in Seychelles. Yeah? So the next is from me. Okay, I would like to recognize Nadia for the core value help other to handle stuff. So Nadia, as the marketing manager, helps me arrange daily task execution for this week strategy, and I'm learning from that to be able to arrange tasks for each sector and estimate the time allocation for each task. So thank you, Nadia. I hope I can do that in the next week. Yeah. Thank you, Kanat. Okay, next to Rehan. What is yours?
Okay, pretty similar with Mas Hafiz, yeah. I want to recognize Mas Gani and also Kak Nadia for growth mindset and never settle, because they help the team with extensive and critical discussion. So I think the discussion on heavy and difficult things will help us to find best and simple solution. So lucky to have them basically. So thank you, Kanat
Okay.
and Mas Gani.
Thank you, Rehan, for the recognition. And the next to Kenny, for
Okay,
yours.
thank you, Hafiz, and good morning, everyone. So I'd like to recognize Furkim for bias to action. Yeah. Furkim has shown high level of bias to action. He moved so quickly, fly to Bali to taking care of the field marketing event. So even though the open house still postponed, but his behavior is really appreciated. So good work, Furkim.
Okay, thank you, Kenny, for the recognition. And next to Kyla, what is yours?
Okay, this is to Dela and Sarah. So I've been less involved in closely supervising both over the past couple of weeks since we shift the focus to growth theme. The results aren't there yet, but we're making progress regarding the current AUM. I'm confident both are trusted and getting more competent. Simply, they have this real ownership, I think. And I hate to say, but they often work overtime, which needs to be addressed and reduced. Kashalin, please. But it's clear that the team is really committed, trusting Dela Sarah basically to make their own decisions and take responsibility has been incredibly rewarding. I think it's very relieving in some sort. Of course, some decisions can be refined, Dela, but what really matters is that they are taking initiative and showing courage. Still showing courage, so it's okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kyla, for the cover recognition. So this is already what is it 11:05 in Bali, so we'll skip the personal updates. So guys, please engage with the personal updates asynchronously. So we'll continue to the announcement. So this announcement is from Rifki. Floor is yours, Rifki.
Okay, hello guys. I wanted to inform you that I've decided to leave my position as engineer lead at Bukit Vista, effective from September 5th, as I have made difficult decisions lately. Yeah, this is the picture. Oh, please let me read my words first, Lutfi, before we jump into the photos, please. Yeah, it has been an amazing run for me, joining as an intern, contributing as a part-timer, and working with many exceptional individuals with great connections. We have over time. I would like to say thank you very much for all the time we have here. Wishing Bukit Vista continued success and see you and I see you guys. And yeah, you can see the picture there. Me last week with the team. Robin, Pandu, Krishna. Okay, and then it was the time in Bali and with Marcel, Vito, and other engineers and other teams. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. It was when the company visit, guys. Yeah, this is the night. Okay, yeah, you can see it yourself. Okay, yeah, I think, oh, good. Yeah, I think see you when I see you guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ricky, for announcing the announcement. So we hope you have great journey ahead, yeah. So since I think we've done, and we don't need to wait the exclusive 1 to 15 minutes, I think I'll give back the floors to Lutfi as the host. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for listening in to today's All Hands. It's been such a pleasure being my first time as host and trying out things. And I think I slipped up a couple of times previously, but I'll try to improve. And yeah, thank you for the patience and thank you for your participation for today's All Hands. I hope.
Livi, let me have some final words here. Yeah, I'd like to say two things. First is actually to I'd like to also recognize Della and Sarah. Actually, what kind of said earlier kind of made me think about a few things. That is, it's actually a good thing. Okay, So when Khaled said that sometimes people are working overtime, the other way I would frame that is when you're given a new responsibility, how do you get enough experience in a short amount of time, right? How do you get essentially the knowledge to be able to do the new thing? So one of the most positive signs I see somebody is adjusting into, let's say, a new role is the fact that they are committed to spend more time learning that new role, okay? So it's actually a positive sign, but of course, we don't want you to lose sight of health and well-being, right? That's something I think I recognized Kyla for the previous week as well, okay? So we're all going to need to somehow get this experience somehow in order to do our job. And oftentimes promotions do come with new responsibilities and it comes with new skills that need to be learned, okay? Whether you learn that new skill through reading, watching masterclass, taking a class outside of work, or just being here getting the experience, you do need to get that. So I do appreciate the commitment to gain that experience. So that's number one. Number two is actually to Rifki. Rifki, I remember when he joined us, we had a business intelligence team, right? And so he was here, I think, with Torek. And I remember we started with a vision. It was a vision, right? It was very kind of like at the beginning of where we were just beginning to understand data science and how we could use data science to change and transform the world. And so during that time, although Torek's journey was much shorter, I think Rifki's journey has been pretty inspirational. I think it's been actually very inspirational. The reason I think it's inspirational is because we were one of the first companies in the world to come up with an actual profitable AI solution to handle a real world problem. And we're doing it quite elegantly. If you take a look at the news right now in AI, most people say it's hype. It's bullshit. It's like blockchain. It's like all these other tech cycles that boom and bust. But not here. Here at Bukit Vista, I think what we're actually doing is we're solving problems with AI. And so Rifki's been a pioneer in developing that particular definition of a problem and being able to come up with the solutions for how that should be managed. And so I think we should recognize that. He's a kind of a legend at this point, yeah? We wish him the best, of course, for the next iteration of his career. And I think it's also normal. It's quite normal, I realize, in people's careers to explore, to seek adventure, to also find the fit where they belong at that particular age. But I do think that essentially this, and also I think it goes to Abam too as well, right? You'll be remembered by the work you did here. And it's already memorialized in most of our marketing and everything pages to the public anyway, okay? So when later on people ask about who are the pioneers in AI for hospitality, I think we can add your name to that list, okay? All right, anyway, yeah, so good luck and hope to see you again soon, all right? All right, that's my 2 cents. And yeah, okay. I'll hand it back over to Lucy.
Okay, thank you everyone for the participation. You are free to go and get back to work. And this meeting has been already extended a couple of minutes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. See you, Luffy. Love your words.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.